Universal Studios Hollywood is introducing the California Neighbor Pass. For the neighborly price of just $119 online, you get over 200 days in the park. So swing by and share some laughs with your neighbors, like the Minions. Or Homer Simpson.
Go nuts.
Even go on an adventure with Harry Potter.
Stay close and follow me.
Visit UniversalStudiosHollywood.com to get over 200 days of thrills, laughter, and wonder with the new California Neighbor Pass for $119 online. Pass valid for 9 months from selected first visit date. Blackout dates and restrictions apply.
Blog Talk Radio.
It's here.
Hello?
Have you checked the children?
They're all hot dogs.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Gingy.
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you. Gentlemen, I am pain.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face. The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
Have you checked the children?
Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
I think it's trouble.
Julie, this guy, if he can't take a joke, he stinks.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
Look, just a flesh wound.
Hey, Flesh Wound Radio freaks. Welcome to Horror Society Presents Flesh Wound Radio. I am Daniel Schein, joined once again by Todd Loya. Todd, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. I had a pretty good week, and watched the Golden Globes and the Oscars. The Oscar nominations, I should say. Film fans in general. I find horror fans are film fans in general and enjoy various genres. So I was kind of looking at that. A lot of people seem to kind of get fucked over, it seemed, which was interesting. I don't know. Do you have any mainstream Oscar, Golden Globe stuff that you're rooting for this year or particularly enjoyed?
Right. I still haven't watched a few things. I still have to watch Boyhood. So right now, my front runner is Birdman. Of the ones I've seen that I like the best. So I can't really give an opinion until I watched everything. So there's still quite a few I need to see. I know. Yeah, I know the big snub was the Lego Movie.
Yeah, I didn't get anything. I thought it was pretty funny. Jennifer Aniston for Cake, I guess her first big dramatic role that she would probably have a shot at actually winning an Oscar, and Angelina Jolie I think got snubbed too. I thought that would be really funny to see both of them. Although I think Angelina Jolie might have been for directing this time, but nonetheless I think that would have been funny to see them. I think American Sniper was the other one. I know that didn't really get a whole lot, and apparently that's pretty good. But all that I can say is why no love for Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac? See the Transformers kid, blow his wad on camera. That's surely warranted Best Director, Best Cinematography, something. But it's Hollywood. They don't really respect the good films. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. We're talking about that tonight. That didn't get shit in the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. And I know the big news out of the Golden Globes. It's the 23rd year in a row that WWE Monday Night Raw has been snubbed.
Indeed, yes. How do you, something, best entrance theme or something. Yeah, Raw never has gotten anything. I think that's I think that's a shame. I don't know. It deserved something, but nah. It didn't get anything, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Best guest star for Brock Lesnar. I don't know. It should have gotten something. But, nah, we didn't get anything. But anyways, we have a pretty stacked show for you tonight. We've had actually a good few weeks of not always good movies, but kind of a good mix of movies. So we're kind of continuing that trend tonight. We've got a couple retro titles, a couple brand spanking new titles, and I guess we'll kick it off tonight with excuse me, my throat's a little dry today, but The House's October Built, which is...
we got to jump in news first. We're skipping news.
Oh, shit, what am I doing? Yeah, thanks, Todd.
We're so impacted now. We're just... Yeah.
I've been smoking weed all day, and not really. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, I'm a little off today. Yes, Todd, take it away with the news while I gather my thoughts.
Oh, that's all right. Okay. Well, I guess we'll jump off with, and here's one, I don't know, it's kind of a hot-button topic in the industry. I know some people frown upon this whole thing, but I'm sure you're probably excited about this also, and that's the new Indiegogo campaign for Vinegar Syndrome TV, of course, from Vinegar Syndrome, the newest cult label, I guess, or the newest big cult label. I don't know exactly how to word that one. But for probably the better part of a year, they've been promising a streaming service known as Skinflix, and that kind of has basically morphed into Vinegar Syndrome TV. And right now they're trying to raise $50,000 to get this streaming site launched, and it's actually got some pretty good perks. I mean, I'm not going to go over the whole whether or not because I know some people are against this at this point now, but I think this is, the kind of thing this kind of stuff was made for indies. It's not like Warner Brothers is trying to get money off their instant streaming.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of go over a few of the pros because I think that's probably the most interesting thing. And there's, spend 20, 30, 40, you get, a few months to the streaming service. But the first perk that jumped out at me, for $40, you get a 6-month membership plus a limited edition DVD, only available if you donate to the Indiegogo campaign, and that's a limited edition DVD of Len Anthony's Murderous Intent and Fright House. And
Fright House with Al Lewis?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the one.
Okay.
Is that Les Anthony?
I didn't know they had that.
If that's the Les Anthony film, I'm not 100% sure on that one. And all these are free shipping in the U.S. The rest is a little bit different. $50 gets you a year's membership. $65. This is the one that Dan, you should pay attention to. You'll probably be interested the most in, at least at this tier. It's 1 year. You get the limited DVD, plus you get a limited Blu-ray of one of the craziest films of the 1980s. It's a surprise for now, but it's been frequently requested, and it's never illegally been released anywhere in the world. It's designed to be one of the most what the fuck films ever to hit blue, hand numbered, special edition, etc. So basically, for $65, you get the Blu-ray, the DVD, and a year's worth of the streaming, and then the packages kind of go. You get 4 current releases or future, and etc. If you jump up to more, the rewards go all the way up to $2,500. Dan, you might want to check on that one, or maybe not. So $65, you get those limited items. So I will definitely be contributing on that because I'm a sucker for limited.
I might do this. I've always been a bit of a dinosaur because I just last year got into late last year into streaming. I got the Amazon Fire Stick. Gary Busey talked me into it. So I don't know. I buy everything Vinegar Syndrome puts out pretty much, but nonetheless, I still will probably do it, especially for this mystery title.
Yeah, I'm definitely a packaged media whore myself too, but it was nice sometimes to not have to find something. And the biggest bonus for me is because they're launching with 200 titles. I'm assuming a lot of the stuff that's DVD only will be on there in HD, which I'm kind of looking forward to seeing. Also, just because it is in HD.
That is true. Yeah.
That's like my biggest thing with a lot of the timeline, a lot of the streaming stuff is there's a lot of stuff in HD that you don't see elsewhere.
Yeah, that's not a small thing. So yeah, Vinegar Syndrome's a great label. I can't remember the last time. I don't know if we've ever really had a major complaint about Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, they've been a really solid label that's delivered. So yeah, I'll have to do this.
Yeah, this will be one of the larger campaigns I've contributed to. So I'm looking forward to it. The one thing I was going to say is I'm sure there are other people in the industries who will not have kind things to say about that. Should I just leave it at that?
Yeah, we know who you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to breeze through it. A little bit of release news real quick. On Amazon, Full Moon announced they're putting up season 1. I don't know if it's going to be the only season of Trophy Heads is on Blu-ray for $24.99, or DVD is $14.99. And yeah, I know we talked about they popped up on Hulu, and that's kind of a cool one.
Scream Queens, you got to get it.
Yeah. Okay, and then to follow up, last week we mentioned Arrow US was going to be releasing some titles in the US, and we didn't actually have the list of titles offhand. So, and three new ones got announced. So I'm just going to basically real quick mention those, because we did mention Mark of the Devil will be available on Blu-ray DVD combo in the U.S. from Arrow US. They also announced Massacre Gun, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Osborne, Blind Woman's Curse, Day of Anger, and the biggest of the bunch, well, at least in my opinion, would be Blood and Black Lace. And that one's going to be coming in 2 versions, the standard Arrow edition and then a Blu-ray Steelbook if you're a fan of the Steelbooks. That's going to be their first U.S. Steelbook.
Oh, okay, cool.
And, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. They also announced a UK only, of course, was the title I want the most, is Jack Hill's Coffee. So that is going to be available in the UK. That's the one I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pam Grier 1080p, can't go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And other news, Hallmark unveiled their 2015 Christmas ornament line, and there are pictures if you search them, but there's Predator coming out this year. So if you got the Alien last year, you can have your own Alien vs. Predator on your tree. Beetlejuice is coming. Gizmo sitting in his little remote control car. And Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead is getting his own figure. And of course, in all the pictures, that's the one without a prototype. He's literally a cardboard picture.
Where's the Human Centipede one? They haven't jumped on that yet?
I think that's 2012. Yeah, so I'm even off. Yes, Time Machine. It was we missed it.
It's so OP.
And well, I guess it's never too early to start planning for Halloween. So Trick or Treat Studios has announced. I don't know if they officially announced. They put up early looks of their masks for this upcoming season. And if you're not familiar with Trick or Treat Studios, they're the mask makers who put out, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinions, the best Michael Myers mask to date for their Halloween 2 mask. And they cracked out quite a few good ones last year. I know there was a Dark Knight of the Scarecrow mask, which was really cool. There's been a bunch of various ones. This year was no different. We're getting a few, well, more than a few. There's the Twisty the Clown from American Horror Story Freak Show. There will be Sam from Trick or Treat, unmasked, so... Yeah. An interesting one is Jaws, Bruce the Shark with gas can in the mouth. So if you want to be a land shark from Jaws, you got that. A Victor Crowley mask, of course, from Hatchet. A House of a Thousand Corpses Captain Spaulding mask, which I must say looks really, really good. American Horror Story Asylum. It's a bloody face mask. The Berserker from Nightbreed. Clownzilla from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Leslie Vernon from Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. A Nazi demon. Yes. A Nazi demon from An American Werewolf in London. And wouldn't be Halloween without just an Alice Cooper mask. And then we have Jody the Demonic Pig from Amityville Horror. Zombie Maggot Eye from Zombie, the lead cover zombie, and the Charred Walker from The Walking Dead.
Oh, cool.
So that's actually quite a lineup on those. I don't know, are you a big mask collector? I know you collect a lot of things, but I don't know about
I mean, I have a lot of... a decent amount of props. Not particularly compared to other things I collect. I do have a pretty massive collection, but not so much on masks.
Yeah, I don't really collect, but I just tend to have a lot, and probably because I'm Leatherface every year, so I have quite a few options on that one. I don't really collect them, so I don't display them. I just, need them for
I spent quite a bit of money on my Doctor Who outfit, so I'm kind of like, that costume's got to be my costume for a couple of years, because I just to justify what I've spent on it.
That's how I started out. And then I got tired of being the original Part 1 Leatherface. I morphed it into Part 2 Leatherface for a couple of years, switched back and forth, and then not the year before last, I made my Texas Chainsaw 3D costume, 100%, other than the mask.
Well, you're a tall dude, so you probably make a pretty good Leatherface. I used to be really hardcore. I always wanted to do Pinhead, and I did 1 year, but it's like I'm a bigger guy. I just don't look right for Pinhead, so I'm very specific. I used to be worse than I am now. I used to be pretty hardcore, no, it's got to be perfect.
That's probably the reason I haven't straight off Leatherface. I'm like, that's the body type I could do, and that's all I'm going to do. Although 1 year, and the kids were so disappointed, and there was the 1 year we did, me and my friend and his girlfriend, we did the Fireflies, and no one really got it because it was right after Devil's Rejects was theatrical, and before it hit home video, and not a lot of people had seen House of a Thousand Corpses. So it didn't really, they were just like, where's the chainsaw?
Yeah, you change it up, they're disappointed, but I don't know, I've been considering doing a haunt, actually. I don't know if I'll get to it this year. I don't know if I want to invest, because I'm a very obsessive person. If I'm going to do it, it's got to be really, really something. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool news.
And I got a couple more pieces, not really huge. First one, I'm saving the best for last, Ed. Don't worry. A couple more releases. This one, out of Trauma Entertainment, and that is it already came from 88 Films, but now we're getting a stateside version, and that is The Toxic Avenger Part 2 on Blu-ray DVD combo coming April 14th. And also the same day, we're getting Class of Nukem High 2, Subhuman Meltdown. Looking forward to seeing that one in high definition. And the one that surprised me that came out of nowhere, and that's actually coming up sooner, which I will definitely have to review, and that's March 10th, Rabid Grannies on Blu-ray DVD combo. And that one's the one I'm most interested in, and I'm sure you are too, because it's been... The U.S. one is a notoriously cut and shoddy transfer. I don't know how many different overseas versions I've gotten of it that are still, while not uncut, still questionable quality. So to see this thing finally in HD, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, one of Troma's better films, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's probably their best pickup they've done. I mean, that wasn't done in-house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I should say, it was a pickup, but still, nonetheless, one of the better ones that they put out on their label. Did you ever see? And we will move on because we want to get to reviews, but I want to say it's Parts of the Family.
Yes.
Maybe it's not Parts of the Family, but it's the one from the maker of Rabid Grannies where Lloyd bankrolled it because Rabid Grannies was so fantastic, and then that film ended up being not so fantastic, and they did the re-edit.
Yeah, he seemed like he wasn't having good luck around that time. That was right after he had a scrap. Was it Debbie Allen's movies that Tales from the Crapper?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I think they stopped giving money to other people and just did everything in-house, which was probably their best way to go about that.
Well, their in-house stuff, I mean, if you're into the style, they really haven't disappointed with their in-house stuff, in my opinion. But, yeah, those are going to be great pre-orders.
I agree. I already have them locked in. And they're not very cheap yet, but they're still locked in.
They'll drop. That's what... They're 24. Those will drop, so I wouldn't sweat the price tag. I don't think that's what we'll end up paying for them.
Yeah, I'm thinking they'll land about 20, but I'm fine with that. Okay, and I don't know if this is local news, but it's been reported on some of the other sites, and I'm excited because there is a horror-themed brewery called the Phantom Carriage, serving beer named after horror icons that just opened up in California. LA Times is reporting it. It opened up in Carson, California. It's named after the Phantom Carriage, 1921 Swedish horror film. The brewers are, as I've said, they were named after horror icons. They only mentioned a couple, and that was Basil Rathbone and the Peter Cushing, so I have to go try one of those. And here it goes. Cushing is a potent golden sour ale that balances a bracing tartness with a tang of funk. I don't know if that sounds very good, but...
Tang of funk. Okay.
Yes, that's... but yeah, and they have a horror movie screening room in the back. That was what got me as a big draw. And the owners are big-time horror fans, and they plan on screening their favorite horror films in there. And they also have some beer education classes, for all of those who need to learn about beer. That's a class I think I'd ace.
I'm not a big drinker, but I think I'd hit up that place just for the hell of it. It's really cool.
I'm not a huge brewery person, but that's enough to get me there. I mean, I'll have a beer, but breweries and all this new IPA and stuff like that, I'm old school, so I don't mess with that. All right, and just for Dan, casting now. The Naked Ghost Hunter reality series is casting, of course, out in good old Hollywood. And the makers of this one are clear. This is not This show is not about putting a bad light, causing drama, or making fun of the paranormal. The idea was brought to the company after research on paranormal investigation teams in history doing it in the nude do have better results, and they want to see if their reasoning for doing it in the nude really does get the spirits to communicate easier. I mean, I'm sure, Dan, if you were a spirit, would you rather talk to a hot naked chick or some gross, fat, sweaty dude and all his gear and blinking lights?
Hey, exactly. I mean, if you're going to be a ghost, I mean, you're going to be spending a lot of time in the women's locker room. So, yeah, I mean, it gives kind of a new meaning to the term hunting for stiffs, though. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and here, well, you know, and if you're interested in auditioning for the show, you can contact Glickman at 323-762-2692 or send her an email. Well, here's the phone number. Should I give the email too?
All I know is, you know, Daniel Schein at Horror Society. If you want to send me your audition bids, I'll put in a good word for you.
He'll pre-screen anyone with no guarantee of it.
Exactly. I mean, I have some clout. I could maybe get you in. So, you know, I'm just saying, you know, hit me up on Facebook and, you know, send me those videos.
There is also one other quick thing. I didn't actually throw it in a little news pitch, but I wanted to mention. I don't know if you've seen. There's a website right now called Life Size Horror that are doing full-size or life-size props of, well, you know, basically Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, and Sam from Trick or Treat. They're you know, like, they go up to like $500, but they look really good. And yeah, if I had extra money to waste, I'd probably grab one of them. But
yeah, I have a lot of situations like that at conventions. The models are very expensive, and I spend a lot of money at conventions, but it's hard for me to hit those things. I've bought a few over the years, but yeah, it's tough. But they look pretty fantastic. I think Chris actually had a Sam one at one point or something. Maybe not. Yeah. I know he had.
I don't know if it was life size, but it was a large one. Yeah, and I just clicked on one of them, and at the Freddy's, almost $900. I think the Sam one was the cheapest, which makes sense because he was the smallest. But they're made on real mannequins, and yeah, they're actually pretty cool. My only complaint is the Jason one is the most recent Jason.
Yeah, I don't think I'm dropping $900 for that. No offense to mirrors, but
but get a mannequin, we can make our own. There you go.
Exactly, but yeah, is that all you have for news? 'Cause I just have a couple brief bits, and we can get on to the movies. But yeah, definitely the Naked Ghost Hunters. I mean, that's where all I know is I hope it's on like a pay station, because otherwise, what's the point in watching them run around blurred? But we'll see. But anyways, a little bit of TV terror talk news. Joaquin Casio is going to be joining The Strain in Season 2 as badass vampire slayer, the Silver Angel. I love The Strain. Todd, you didn't watch Season 1, did you?
I am actually... I did. I think I have 2 episodes left. I slowly was catching up after the finale, but I think Halloween I got distracted. What happens when shows start?
Well, there you go. Obviously, for us being wrestling fans, Mexican wrestler turned vampire hunter, the Silver Angel, is one character many fans have been dying to see on The Strain, and we're happy to report they won't have to wait much longer. And yes, Joaquin Casio has been cast to play the former luchador named Angel Guzman Hurtado in the show's second season. So, yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool. The Strain's a very serious show, so it'll be interesting to see how they portray. Because I've never really read the books. I have them, but that should be interesting. Another bit of casting news: Ross Marquand is joining The Walking Dead as a series regular, and for the latter half of season 5 into season 6. It's not been confirmed, but due to Robert Kirkman saying on Talking Dead that a prominent gay character from the comics would be introduced, the word is that this is probably who that is, the character of Aaron. So, I know a lot of people had all that talk about Daryl, and some were disappointed, probably the females not so much, but you will be getting a prominent gay character on Walking Dead. And the last bit of news I have, pretty big news. I think this broke a few days ago, but definitely one we have to bring up, and it's a Friday the 13th update for the new movie. And according to Collider, there was an update from producer Andrew Form, who says that he is working on the script still, hoping to make that movie this year, and Brad Fuller, producing partner in Platinum Dunes. I'm going to confirm that Jason is in the movie, so good news. As far as we know, David Bruckner will be in the director's chair. No mention of the planned November 13th, 2015 release date was made, although in theory it could still happen. Not a lot to say there, except we probably, I suspect, are not going to get it in 2015, but Jason's going to be in it, and, the world can rejoice. As this particular article says, and I've been saying all along, it doesn't have to be that complicated with Friday the 13th. Just put the kids in the woods and let Jason do his thing. I've always maintained, and we've talked about this before, that Friday the 13th is a franchise that I'd love to see go direct to DVD Blu-ray, simply because I think they could up the carnage. Get an Adam Green type to direct it and just make the goriest Friday the 13th movie ever made. That's kind of how I really see that franchise. It's one I took a little heat from a few people when I said that, but I really would think it would be great as a direct-to-DVD franchise, and it wouldn't really suffer at all. But yeah, Todd, you have any comments on that before we get into reviews?
No, I 100% agree with you about the straight to video thing. It would be fine for that series. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Look at Stucky did incredibly well. You got Hellraiser on the other hand, where while the sequels weren't great there, I still was entertained by pretty much all of them. It's not as uneven to say the Children of the Corn sequels. So.
Well, and Hellraiser is something. To continue on exactly how you had the first few movies, it's a little bit more of a budget involved. A couple $1 million, if that. Not even that. That's on the high end. You can make a great Friday the 13th film. Put it on VOD, Halloween release, Blu-ray, and that'll make pretty crazy profits. That's just how I've always seen it. I'm kind of at the point with that one where, slashers on the big screen now. It's been a while since My Bloody Valentine, the remake, which was widely liked, very successful. But for the most part, it just doesn't, I don't know. I just think go direct to DVD, VOD. I think it works just fine. But I don't know. That's kind of a topic discussion, I suppose, for a later date. But moving on to the movies, which I tried to do right at the top of the show for some weird reason.
I tried to rush through the news, so you didn't have to wait. Yeah,
I know. I wasn't thinking. I had visions Michelle Bauer in my head because Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers Blu-ray was the last thing I watched. But yes, the first one, The Houses October Built, which is from director Bobby Rowe and is a Best Buy exclusive on Blu-ray. So if you want to get the Blu-ray after you hear our review, you will have to get it at Best Buy. I actually got the last copy at mine, so it seems to either they don't have a lot or they're selling out quick. But the storyline follows underneath the fake blood and cheap masks of countless haunted house attractions across the country, there are whispers of a truly terrifying alternative. Looking to find an authentic, blood-curdling, good fright for Halloween, 5 friends set off on a road trip in an RV to track down this underground haunt. Just when their search seems to reach a dead end, strange and disturbing things start to happen, and it becomes clear that the haunt has come to them. So this is one that I've been really curious to see for a while. It's actually based on Bobby Rowe's 2011 documentary on Halloween haunts of the same name. And I have to throw that out there. You use that word documentary loosely when it comes to that. Yeah, loose. Well, they refer to it as a documentary, but
we'll get to that after when we talk about the extras.
yeah, but that is on the Blu-ray. Well, so the movie, really cool premise, sets this one apart. There have been actually quite a few haunted house attraction flicks, not necessarily well known, but Scare Zone, House of Horrors the movie, Hallows Eve, Hayride, Jack the Reaper, just to mention a few recent ones. And this was kind of a found footage movie that just had a really good premise. So I was really kind of excited because there's nothing for a seasoned horror fan. It's very rare to find a movie that truly gets under our skin. It's quite rare for me. I'm sure it's the same with you, Todd. But those Halloween haunts, when they're done right, and somebody's coming around the corner at you, it can get your blood pumping again. So I have a great affinity for those, and really had me excited for this film. Unfortunately, it falls a little short. It's not all bad. I've always wanted to do a road trip very similar to what they do in the movie. It's fun at times, but it never really builds the tension like it could. I don't know, it's kind of a theme with a lot of these movies. It just, the fun, a lot of the fun in the beginning of seeing them go through the attractions, that's what I enjoyed the most, but that doesn't really sustain a 91-minute film. It never ratchets up the terror. Even in the finale, I really felt they could have brought the scares home a little bit more. And I don't know, there were different things I felt they could have done with the ending without spoiling anything. But I don't know, I feel like this is another one of these divisive flicks that some people are going to really, really like. But I'm just not one of them. I don't know, Todd, what did you think?
It finally happened. I love this one.
You did.
I did. Yes, I mean, this, I think the last we reviewed this on the final episode of Creepshow Radio. That's part of the reason. I did. I agree with you about the scare thing because my scareometer is like tapped out, so no matter what I watch, it doesn't happen for me.
Yeah.
But I can understand if, there wasn't enough. Because I'm a sucker for the Halloween, the haunted attraction stuff also. Which reminds me, you have to send me a list of the ones. There was a couple I hadn't seen that you'd mentioned. So, because I know the biggest thing when we reviewed this last time, our discussion was the whole Blair Witch comparison and the structure.
Yeah.
Which I know people who have a problem with this ending, but then love Blair Witch. That doesn't compute in my brain because they're both just as open-ended, and I don't know how you can argue, one or the other wasn't. I do agree there is some things that don't make sense if these people are just there in places they weren't earlier. But I really liked the whole setup and the road picture aspect, and using the real footage from the, I'm air quoting, documentary, really helped it out and really helped sell it. I thought it was something different. I mean, it wasn't just your average. It wasn't a typical found footage one. I don't know, maybe it's because it wasn't, I guess right now we're so inundated with the ghost found footage and stuff like that.
It's a more inventive use of found footage.
Yes.
It didn't feel like, I've seen this shit before. I will give it that.
Yeah, and I ended up really liking it. I don't have any, complaints other people do about stuff not making sense. I mean, a child of the 80s, I mean, a huge fan, you include, of Giallo. I mean, if we looked for stuff that made sense, that whole era of films would be confused. So I grew up on nonsensical shit, so that worked for me.
Too. I don't think we looked for it as much as kids, but yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this film. I don't know. I think I was more disappointed than outright not liking it, if that makes sense. I just really felt with the premise that this could have done a lot better. I mean, it's funny because found footage the last year, well, actually the last couple of years in general, I tend to give fairly decent reviews to a lot of found footage flicks, despite not really loving them. I don't know. I'm not really a hard ass. I mean, Hate Crime I absolutely loved. I think that is a scenario where found footage works perfectly. But I don't know. With this one, there were moments where I felt it just could have gotten a lot. It could have been scarier. I think if you're going to do found footage and the realism aspect, those movies have to be scary to a degree. I mean, they really have to frighten you or do something with that aspect of filmmaking. Otherwise, I feel like what's the point? They can be very tedious if you don't deliver on the scares. I didn't have a big issue with the cast in this one. I thought they were fine. Nobody particularly memorable, but they did okay. I thought the doll character, it was a little bit freaky when she kind of popped in and just started screaming. That was probably one of the more creepy moments. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, just nice try, but they didn't quite get there. And I think most people, again, and I say this at the end of all the found footage reviews, if you love found footage, you might like this, but if you don't like found footage, I feel you probably won't, just to make it simple for you. But I didn't hate it. It was worth one watch, and for me, it gets 2.5 stars. I mean, it was fairly average with an above average idea.
Yeah, see, I give it a 4.
Well, there we go.
But I also wanted to kind of touch on the special features for the exclusive one, because from what I've heard, the DVD is pretty bare bones. But the first thing up is the feature. The feature-length documentaries that inspired the film, and it honestly feels like a rough version of the film, because they do travel. It's the same thing basically, without all the, I don't want to say supernatural stuff, without all that stuff that doesn't really make sense. Because we still have them traveling around and going to the haunts, and most of the footage of them interviewing the real people comes from this. So it's kind of like a combination, because there is still the whole, I already forgot, the blue skeleton. And towards the end, they're still trying to find that, and they still get similar thing at the end, but without the, So I can't really say too much about that. It's a more realistic version of it, not as, I guess, dark as the ending of the actual feature. So it definitely feels like almost like a student film or a rough cut, because it does have a similar narrative towards the end. So
yeah,
because they still find the blue skeleton and some weird shit happens. We'll just go with that. But I actually like that. I if you haven't watched it, Dan, check it out, because minus the supernatural stuff, you get a lot more of the interviews with the people, that work at the haunts, which I think you'll like that, and a lot more walkthroughs of the haunt. So it's kind of like a documentary.
Special feature too. My 2.5. I mean, we don't always do package reviews on new movies, but as far as the package goes, this is a great pickup. I'm not sorry that I bought it, because it does have, a feature-length extra feature, and I haven't watched some of the other cast carvings and behind the screens yet, but it's a good package.
Yeah, and most of the deleted scenes are little extended bits that are in the documentary. There's a couple little other bits that weren't, but basically the meat of the extra features is that full-length documentary, which I do recommend. Even if you weren't in love with the film like Dan, you'd like all the the walkthroughs and the interviewing the people stuff. That's what it is. But they still do have that. It's worked a bit at the end. I'll just say that.
Yes, and once again, just to point out for our listeners, the Blu-ray is a Best Buy exclusive. Todd, do you have any information? Is the Blu-ray going to be available at a later date? I haven't seen anything on that.
Most of the time, there's an exclusive window, and they don't tell you how long it's going to be, so you won't see any listings on Amazon or other sites. So it just depends how long the window is. And they normally are a few months. Because I know the similar thing happened there was 4 Blumhouse titles that were Walmart exclusives, and they magically just popped up on Amazon, and I want to say even on Netflix streaming. But those were, a couple that just kind of slipped under the radar.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's one, like I said, you may really enjoy it, and if you're a collector like me, it's a great disc, and it is different. It's one of those ones I look at and think, you know what, I'd really like to see somebody almost remake this a little different. I don't know.
I was going to say they did. They need a third try.
Yeah, they kind of did remake it, but I guess remake the feature film, since we're calling the other a documentary.
Yeah, I know. That's a stretch.
Yeah, but good premise. I mean, again, I can't go too low when it is a good premise, so I give it 2.5. But moving on to our next film, which is, I guess we might as well do another found footage flick, get those out of the way. And this one is Alien Abduction from director Matty Beckerman. And this follows a family that's on vacation, going out in the RV to, actually, is this, no, that's the other film, never mind. It's a family that goes out on vacation in an RV, and, I don't know, short synopsis, run into an alien, I don't know if we want to say invasion or just an abduction. They're abducting people in North Carolina. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say they really like the. Space Mountain doesn't work, but you said the Carolinas made me think of Flare. They really like this particular mountain. We'll just go with that.
Yes, and it's actually this is based on supposedly real phenomenon, the Brown Mountain Lights, which apparently a lot of people have gone missing there. But Todd, what did you think of this one?
I don't know. I think my reputation of not liking found footage is going to go away, because I actually really like this one too. I think the first thing that jumped out at me was a lot of times that we don't have a reason for the camera. and a lot of times like, why don't they put the fucking camera down? With the last one we did, House was October Built, we had it because they were doing a documentary. This one, it was the autistic son. He had to use the camera as a divide.
Yeah, it makes
so he's
sense.
always filming. And I love that fact that they did it, and it was, to me, I mean, that's the first time I can think of someone doing that, and that's something that is very believable that an autistic child would have to do that. So right off the bat, okay, I was like, okay, I can just kind of get over the fact why they're doing it. And I'm not a huge sci-fi horror fan. I like them separately and some combined, but in general, I went into this one like I thought, okay, we'll have something to rip. I don't know, we still might. But I actually ended up enjoying it. Realistic-wise, scare-wise, I'm going to leave that to you. Because, I mean, I like the fact that we had, although we don't really see them really well, but it's definitely the classic, egghead alien, I think they call, I don't know what the exact shape they call them.
Grays, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, there's only one real complaint that I had, and I don't really want to give it away. There's towards the end, I'll just go, the camera goes and comes back. I thought that was kind of taking it too far. We could have just let it go at a certain point. And once you guys see the film out there, you'll know what I mean, which part I'm talking about. I don't want to give it away, so.
You stuck through the credits, I should say, right? Because there is there is some action there at the end, as well as extended interviews with presumably real people that were abducted or witnessed the lights. Well, anyways, I actually like this one too.
Okay.
There was a time in my life I was never obsessed like some people are, but X-Files was all the rage, and I was kind of into some of the alien conspiracy stuff. So it was an interesting film. It's nothing you haven't seen before. If you watched a lot of other alien abduction stuff, there's no new ideas brought to the table.
Yeah.
But as you said, and I was going to point out too, one question for a lot of these films is you're not going to hold on to that fucking camera, and it made perfect sense here. The kid was autistic, and that's what he did, and it makes perfect sense. So that I thought worked really well. I'm normally not a huge fan of showing the ending at the beginning, but at the same time, like I said, stick through the credits, because there is a little bit more to what we see at the beginning. Because I was watching the beginning and thinking, okay, they're letting us know this family's fucked, but but it like I said, there's a little bit more to it. So yeah, I enjoyed the family. They seem to have good chemistry. They kind of throw you right into the shit in this one. There's a very short, get to know you period, but it seems like a fairly likable, realistic family, and it manages a few really creepy moments. I wouldn't say this film is horrifying, but particularly when they first run into all these abandoned cars, and then in the tunnels where they first encounter the aliens. You never see the aliens very clearly, but at the same time, they are a threat throughout the movie. It's not a Blair Witch scenario where you never see the threat. Yeah. They are there. They are chasing them. It's a very fast-moving flick. Like I said, you're really not going to look at your watch. It's a fairly short run time, and there's something always happening. And there were some good jump scenes. On the complaint side, I thought the redneck character was a bit stereotypical. I'm not really sure what they were trying to do. He was the typical, I hate city folk redneck. I don't think they were necessarily going for a stereotype, but he kind of goes from asshole to noble, and I don't know, I didn't really care for that character too much, but like I said, it's very lively, it's never boring, professionally made. There's some of the effects stuff I thought was really good, and I should actually throw it out there. I believe Dr. Satan was one of the aliens, Todd. I don't know if you noticed that in the credits.
I did not, actually.
Yeah, I think I saw that. So yeah, I actually enjoyed this one. Like I said, nothing new, but it was pretty exciting and definitely worth a rental. And if you are an alien conspiracy buff, I think you'll like it quite a bit. I give this one. I give this one torn on this. I don't know if I'm going to give this one 3 because I do think it was above average. If you're not into these films, it's probably a one-watch sort of deal. So, depends kind of who you are. But I enjoyed it. Todd, what do you think?
I'm just a little bit higher. I gave it a 3.5. And if you are a Netflix streaming subscriber, this is available on Netflix streaming, which I saw after the fact. But I'm happy with my purchase anyway. But it is available in HD, so that is one plus. But yes, that is. So if you want to check it out, Dan gave it a 3. I gave it a 3.5. So you might want to check it out. If you got an hour and 25 to kill, I'd say go give it a view.
And there have been a few crappy Alien Abduction type flicks lately, so it's definitely worth a watch if you're into that. I don't know, maybe make it a double bill with Altered, which I think is a great Alien Abduction type flick. But yes, well, let's see here. Do we want to go to our musical break now or do one more movie, Todd?
We're at the hour point. I guess we can have our musical break. And, well, I guess I wanted something a little different tonight. It's kind of from two films. We have the Hess brothers' version of their father's immortal classic, Wait for the Rain, also known as The Road Leads to Nowhere, from the original, of course, from Last House on the Left, and his children doing the redo for Eli Roth's Cabin Fever. So that's what we have in store tonight. So, some little difference, I thought. So here we go.
Wheels turning, some of the leaves are turning brown. Coming to gather you, gathering cherries off of the ground. A little well older, a little bit closer to the spring. Top of your mind is what the nakedness of a neon color smoky sound can bring. And the road leads to nowhere. Thunder's gonna roll all in your smile. Cross tomorrow, lay around and find the curve in your style. After the rainbow, after the day glows over you, a bottle of wine and a waterfall gonna lead you to the dream I knew you'd do. I just don't know where the road leads. Oh, I just don't know where the road is. Oh, where the road leads. After the song and dancing sung, wake up to the new contentment of the way you fought to win the war you won. And the road leads to nowhere, and the castle stays the same, and the mother turning, summer leaves are turning brown. Coming to gather you, gather the shadows off of the ground. After the rainbow, after the day glows over you, a bottle of wine and a waterfall gonna lead you to the green. I knew you do. And the road leads to nowhere, and the castle stays the same, and the mother.
And we are back, correct, Todd? You there?
We are back.
All right. Never know if I'm still on mute, so there we go. Yeah, that's a great song, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, but shortly after David Hess died, I believe he was booked for that Chiller, or maybe he wasn't. I'm not sure. I think he was going to be booked, but his son ended up coming there, and they had like a little kind of memorial. They actually played that song, a video package. I don't think that version, though. And it was very moving. I mean, there's only maybe 40, 50 people there tops, but it was very moving. Giovanni Lombardo Radice was there and gave a really moving speech, and they didn't want anybody to record. I almost wished that I had a recording of that because it was just so moving. But yeah, great song.
I would have loved to have seen the some of the things on the LA ones. He didn't have to be booked. He just showed up, and then with the Last House crew in tow.
Yeah, see, it was so it's funny because not funny. I mean, it's very sad, but the Para crew, the Italian invasion, or I don't know if they had changed it to Euro invasion by that point, but just very somber. I mean, such a cool guy. I mean, I didn't know Hess personally or anything, but just talking to him over the few shows I saw him at was just a really nice guy and loved his music. He didn't care a whole lot about his movies, Hitchhike maybe being the one exception, but he just loved music. And his son, Jesse, was really cool there, having to, kind of be there and share some stories about his dad. So that was one of the coolest convention experiences I think I had because as far as I can tell, I think everybody respected and did not film any of that, which, understandable, but nonetheless, I just wish were out there for the fans to appreciate. But yeah,
definitely.
Moving. Oh, absolutely, yeah. You would have loved it just being there as a fan. I mean, I don't shed tears easily, but I was close. I mean, just listening to Giovanni speak, and it was really, really, just really a decent, wonderful little thing that they did for him. But yes, moving on to our reviews. I guess our first retro review of the evening, and this is a film, a very troubled film, called Supernova from writer William Malone and director Thomas Lee, a.k.a. Walter Hill. And, well, there was more than one, but we'll get into the history. Well, I don't know. I'll try and be quick on the synopsis since this has been out there for about 15 years. But in the farthest reaches of deep space, the medical vessel Nightingale keeps a lonely vigil for those in trouble. When a frantic cry for help pierces the void, the crew responds with a near-fatal hyperspace dimension jump into the gravitational pull of a dying star. The disabled ship rescues a shuttlecraft containing a mysterious survivor and a strange alien artifact. Now the crew must unravel a chilling secret and escape the nearby imploding star before the rapidly forming supernova blasts them and the entire galaxy into oblivion. So this is a film that's been really notorious for some time over a lot of difficulties making it, and a lot of genuinely talented, even legendary people that were attached. It was actually, and they don't really get far back in the special features, but it was originally developed in the late 80s by Malone as a film called Dead Star that he was trying to get made, and it was supposedly a mixture of H.R. Geiger and the plot, a look, and the plot was said to be Hellraiser in space, and it just never came to be until much later, and obviously many changes. Walter Hill began, then it went to Jack Shoulder, who, they had to kind of fix it. The studio just didn't enjoy his work. And they kind of go over all the history. It then went to Francis Ford Coppola, who was on the board at the time, who said that he could fix it. And they really go over this in the special features. There's a lot to it, and I was really happy to kind of see them finally talk about the making of this film, because despite all the shit that went wrong, I don't really hate it. I mean, it manages to be a fairly entertaining, if unspectacular, film. I know it started out, the budget inflated, which probably is why things kind of changed around. It started out at about $5 million, went to like $25 million after Walter Hill came aboard, and he had kind of a psychedelic, altered states kind of vibe. That kind of obviously changed. The actors sort of talk about how it was hard to really prepare for the role because it was changing on the spot. They were getting new dialogue thrown at them on the spot, and they kind of go over the chaos of the film. I know I'm kind of doing more of an extra features review, but again, I think this has been out there a while.
20 years, Dan. 20.
Well, Todd, I'm going to actually call a mistake by Scream Factory. I do not believe this was shot as far back as 95. I know it sat on the shelf for a while, but this kind of screams of late 90s.
You know what? I didn't even notice that one, because that's not the only mistake on the back end. So package designer Bonnie LeBrun needs to have someone sit down and talk to her, because I actually got excited by the fact that it said it was in 1851. Because if anyone knows anything about this film, it was shot Super 35, and so in the full screen version you get much more on the top and bottom because it's not true 2351. So 185, that's the full aperture. So the black bars on the Super 35 are actually cropping some of the negative. And this is one of those cases, the perv in me, even though I prefer proper aspect ratios. If you remove those mattes, as you can see in the full screen version, there's extra nudity quite a few times.
Well, did you get a chance? Mm-hmm.
I know, I was going to say the bars straight up cover some just tits hanging out there, if I'm being straight up.
Yeah, this is kind of a partial, obscured nudity movie. Did you ever? Because I never knew it was true. They kind of confirmed that it was on the special features that James Spader and Angela Bassett's love scene was created through extra footage of Peter Facinelli and Robin Tunney's love scene, and I guess they digitally changed Robin Tunney black so that it would appear to be Angela Bassett.
I never knew that, never heard that, so that was actually interesting. I wonder if on the open matte version you could tell even more. So there's two. I went and correcting you, and you corrected me. So I'm
not correcting the. Well, I want to be clear about the year.
That's definitely a screw up because it should be listed at 2000. I can't believe I didn't even catch that.
Well, I think now that I know this film sat for a while. I mean, it came out in January of 2000.
But that's the release date. You don't backdate them.
They weren't filming in 95. It's funny. I mean, I could almost believe that it was maybe shot in like 97 even, or 98, but those few years kind of make a difference, just the CG and everything. It's not a 95
I want to say that's the information from Pumpkinhead. Because Pumpkinhead's 91 minutes. I want to say that might be the Pumpkinhead 2 info. Was that 95?
Pumpkinhead 2. It was around that, 94, 95, I think. I can't say
I'm wondering if that's the information, because we've got 1851, 95, 91 minutes. I don't know, but that's definitely someone forgot to switch out the template. That's kind of funny. So
I thought maybe they were saying, well, it was completed, but it was definitely
I don't want to hear any more shit about Code Red forgetting to do that shit, too. Because if Scream Factory can do it, anyone can do it. Because they always get so much shit, Bill forgot to switch out the number on the spine, whatever. He forgot to change the running time. Forgot to do that. Proof positive can happen to anyone.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I know this isn't considered a big release. I mean, Lord only knows Scream Factory's got much bigger titles on the way in 2015. But I don't know. Just back to the movie, because, again, the extra feature, a lot more than I would have expected to have gotten, because this is just a movie I wanted to hear about. I just wanted to hear people talk about it, and you can find out for yourself if you're curious enough to pick it up. It's one of their cheaper Blu-rays, so. But I mean, you can even tell that nobody, I think, knew what they were making. The commercial, Todd and I were talking, the trailer, I should say. before the show, the trailer, it's funny to watch it. It opens on this Sugar Ray song, and it's just like, what the fuck is this thing supposed to be? It's a Sugar Ray pop song, and it's like, is this like supposed to be a comedy in space or a or a sci-fi horror? What the hell is it?
You have to wait for the deleted pie fucking scene.
Exactly. Yeah, James Spader fucks the pie and Zero Gravity. Yeah, I don't know. It is one of those ones that it just felt like I don't know where it went wrong. But strangely enough, what do you think about the movie? Because it's really not horrible. It's an okay way to kill 90 minutes, and I don't know. I don't hate it. I still don't hate it.
I know. It's just kind of in the middle. I've never hated it. I've never loved it. And I mentioned before, and I can't remember which exactly. It might have been, and I keep saying it might have been Leviathan, that I always think I like better than I do. And I get these two kind of mixed up until I actually sit down and watch them, because I probably haven't watched either of them in 20 years. 15. I don't revisit either that often. And yeah, it's not. It's a good movie. It's not. Geez, yeah, it's not Leviathan. It's everything we've seen before. I definitely think it's worth checking out. I can't really recommend it though. That's my biggest thing. I mean, it's a solid transfer. I mean, off that, if you're already a fan of this and you're like, oh, should I get it? There's only one feature. The 25-minute new interview, featurette making of is good. I mean, you have Lou Diamond Phillips, Robert Forster, Jack Shoulder, a few other names. No James Spader, Angela Bassett.
No. They pack a lot of info in that 25 minutes.
They do.
It's like, stuff you've never known before. It's not like these stories have been out there and this film's been talked to death. That kind of is why I got it, because I get pretty much everything from them anyway. Yeah. But I just felt like I wanted to hear about this film. Yeah.
But I do want to point out, for everyone concerned, it does port over all of the extras from the previous DVD release from MGM, the deleted scenes, alternate ending, theatrical trailer. The only thing missing from this is, of course, the full screen version. Though, like I mentioned, that you actually do get to see the extra nudity on that one. So, and that's the other thing, because this is the first time. The home video release was the R-rated cut. So I never saw it theatrically. I'm assuming it was a PG cut, a PG-13 cut. I wonder.
I saw it in theaters, and I can't say for sure, obviously 15 years later, but I believe it was PG-13. I think, but I could be wrong on that.
Well, I'm sure it was, because it was noted the home video R-rated version. So I'm just curious, do they just cut out the nudity? I mean,
it's very partial nudity, anyways. So I think it's like really one of those ones where the difference is very small.
Well, not in the unmatted version. If you still have the full screen disc or the old MGM disc, Dan, go pop it on when you're done this show, and you'll be like, oh wow, because I know you, like me, you probably never even flipped over the side and popped in the full screen version. It wasn't until someone pointed it out to me that there's scenes where there's no nudity, where she's literally, they just got done, and she's just standing there, and she's completely cropped at like the chest level. On the other one, she's just standing there topless.
Okay, well, another space-themed movie, you can always see Angela Bassett ass shot Critters 4, so, there's always that good double feature. I believe, wasn't she naked in Critters 4? I haven't watched that in ages.
I haven't watched that. I love that series. That's what I would really like to see on Blu-ray, because I'm like, I want to revisit it. Then I can just wait for Blu-ray. But then I forget, I have like 3 of the 4 recorded on my DVD are in high def, so maybe I'll just watch those. I'll pull one DVD out to watch one in standard def.
But, anyway, I mean, with this one, just giving it a rating, I mean, the movie, I give it, it's a tough one to rate. I give it 3. I mean, honestly, it entertained me. It's one of those things where, yes, the movie had a lot of problems, but at the end of the day, it's not bad. It's an entertaining way to kill, an hour and a half. Peter Fasinelli, not exactly the most, threatening villain for a movie like this, but at the same time, it still managed to make me kind of like the characters, and the actors are good. It's a very good-looking film. I think the effects work was really good. And, yeah, I recommend it. As far as the package, I mean, obviously you're not going to get something, super, super in-depth for a film like this, but I think the 25-minute or whatever it was extra feature crammed a lot of info that's never really been always out there for this movie. And, I give that a pretty solid 4 out of 5 as well. I think it's worth picking up for sci-fi fans. And I don't know. I don't know whether to call it sci-fi horror or not, but I think it works.
It is, and it goes without saying, if you're a Scream Factory completist, you're probably already waiting to pick this one up or picked it up. Yeah, I'm not as high as you on this one, though. I'm only giving it a 3. I mean, overall package, I'd give it a 4. Just for that documentary, it's bumping it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was just about as happy as I could have expected with it. Well, and again, I assume you're giving the extras a 3. What about the movie?
No, I actually was giving the movie a 3. And
I gave the movie a 3 too, so I was confused.
See, I thought you gave the movie a 4. Okay, we're on this stuff.
Yeah, let me clarify, because it's definitely not a 4 movie. The movie, I would give a 3. I think it's, a little above average for, a sci-fi film of the time. The packaging, the extra features, all that is a 4. It's delivered for me.
100% agreement then.
Okay, well, that is Supernova. Like I said, it's a cheaper release from them, and I don't know. If you've never seen it, I don't know how it'll hold up for you. But anyways, moving on to our next film, Jessabelle, from director Kevin, I can never say his name, the Saw director, but Kevin Guter? I don't know. But, director of Saw 6. You all know who he is. And Jessabelle follows returning to her childhood home in Louisiana to recuperate from a horrific car accident. Jessabelle, played by Sarah Snook, comes face-to-face with a long-tormented spirit that's been seeking her return and has no intention of letting her escape. So, this is one of those ones, I believe it had like a very limited theatrical release, because I wasn't able to see it. I didn't have it playing anywhere near me that I can recall. Really didn't make a whole lot of noise, kind of just another ghost flick, and I really wasn't expecting anything much from it. It's something I honestly don't think I heard anything about it before I sat down to watch it a couple days ago, and I actually kind of liked it. I mean, it's a PG-13 ghost flick. God knows there's a lot of those that Hollywood's churning out. It's kind of hard to separate them all, but I thought this one was pretty good. I really enjoyed Sarah Snook's performance. I thought she was very likable, and it's another one that kind of throws you right into the action. At very short time with the boyfriend. She's pregnant, got the entire world ahead of her entire life, and boom, all gone. And there's a pretty interesting sort of mystery with this one that unfolds. And I don't want to give a whole lot away, but obviously she goes back with her dad, who she hasn't seen in years, who's raised by her aunt. And he has some issues with drinking, and she finds these tapes from her mother that start to, reveal some things, let's just say. And I thought it worked really well. I thought it was creepy. I think yeah.
I have to ask you, so is that the definition of found footage then?
Kind of, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can call this one found footage, but yes, she does find some tapes, and yes, she found footage, I guess, just not the found footage we reviewed earlier. But yeah, I think this one is a quiet, low-key kind of ghost story. I thought it worked. There were several really creepy moments. You've kind of seen it before, but at the same time, I thought this kind of had a nice little mystery that sort of unfolded.
Yeah.
By no means is it a classic, but I actually really liked this one a lot. It was better than some recent ghost flicks we reviewed. That IFC one we did a couple weeks ago. I mean, This one actually did pretty much everything right, and even kind of ends on a sequel note. But what did you think, Todd?
I actually agree with you, pretty much so. I do want to throw in also a shout-out to Jolie Carter, was it Jolie or Jolene? I think it's Jolie. Jolie Carter, who I loved her performance in this, too. She's pretty much great in anything she does nowadays, as Kate, the mother. Or I don't know how much we're giving away. Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked the whole tape aspect. Gave it. Well, I guess that happens pretty on. I mean, the tapes, with watching her dead mother, and you don't really know what's going on, and it is kind of unsettling watching because it definitely works. I'm trying to think what else I could say without giving anything away. You mentioned the mystery to it. It is. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of stuff with voodoo in it. I just, I already have to suspend my. Yeah.
Not a Serpent in the Rainbow kind of fan, or.
I do like Serpent in the Rainbow, though. That is one of the few I do, but that's basically what the film is. I mean, if I have to deal with that and the other things, it's one of those weird religious-y, almost. I don't know. It's something about it. I kind of have to do that. So if I'm dealing with that and something else, so where something like Hatch, where voodoo doesn't play a huge part of it, I'm fine with. I like that New Orleans vibe, just not really too much into that religious thing.
This one was shot in North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah. Did they? Well, I know there was a big voodoo culture, and I'm trying to think. Did they say that, or are they doubling it for New Orleans?
No, I want to say it because I looked through the credits, because lately there have been a lot of end credits things, and I just noticed it was, I guess, shot in North Carolina. I don't know if they shot anything in...
Oh, no, okay.
There's areas of North Carolina that, can be pretty close.
Well, no, because actually, someone pointed out there's a goof in it that when Jamie and when Jesse and Preston investigate what is reflecting across the lake, the boat they drive is registered in North Carolina, where the film was shot, instead of Louisiana, where the film is set. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
North Carolina. I mean, there's certain areas. I mean, I thought it really gave off that vibe that like I said, Louisiana. There's areas where time really stands still, and it's just great for horror movies. I mean, it's just a great place to shoot. But yeah, no, I actually, this is another one. It's like, it just really didn't have any kind of hype at all behind it, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, if you're a Ghost fan, I think you might even love this one. I thought they did a really good job on all fronts. I can't think of a complaint off the top of my head.
Okay, well, just to make one, and this is not, you can't say about people in the South, it's like naming your daughter whore or slut. Why would you name your daughter Jessabelle?
That is true. I was kind of expecting her to be a nympho or something.
I was expecting some sluttiness too. I didn't know if we were getting, some horny ghosts or something.
Yeah, no horny ghosts. I mean, it's PG-13. There's no entity, Barbara Hershey action in this one, but I don't know. It didn't need it. It's one that got the best out of its PG-13 rating, and like I said, there's just so many forgettable Hollywood ghost stories. This is one I think I'll actually kind of remember.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I just throw out there for those other Northerners who don't know, a Jessabelle is a term for a loose woman. That's a word they use out in the South. Equivalent of whore and slut and all that fun stuff.
Kind of California. It'd be what just skank ass hoe or something. If that's what it means.
Yeah, that works.
Our Cali listeners.
But see, bitches, and that's just derogatory term. Whatever, like the rappers say, the hoes. There you go.
But yeah, I give this one. I mean, like I said, it is a PG-13 ghost flick. I don't think it's necessarily going to scare the shit out of you unless you're really into the ghost stuff. But nonetheless, it's one of the better ones I've seen in a while, and I give it 4 out of 5. I think it's a solid 4, and if you are a supernatural horror fan, it's well worth picking up.
I agree with you 100%. I give it a 4 also. I say pick it up, and you should enjoy it if you're a ghost fan. If not, you may want to give it a rental, Redbox, Netflix, Amazon Prime Instant first, but one or the other.
Absolutely. And, let's see if we can kind of get this mostly solid trend tonight going with our next film, which is Honeymoon from director Lee Janiak. It's as close as I can get on that one. And it follows newlyweds Paul and Bea, played by Harry Treadaway and Rose Leslie of Penny Dreadful and Game of Thrones fame, so a couple popular TV stars, who spend their honeymoon in a lake cottage where soon the romantic getaway turns sour shortly after Paul finds Bea disoriented in the woods. After she becomes distant and her behavior turns irrational, Paul begins to think something sinister happened to her in the woods. So, Todd, what did you think of this one?
I think we're going to have a disagreement on this one. I just have that feeling this will be another one. I thought it was okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a huge fan. Well, I didn't hate it. And I'm not one who needs a lot of stuff explained. I like open endings. I just felt like I was missing something while watching it. And not in the way where I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure it out. I felt like, did I blank? Did I skip a chapter? What happened? It felt like this was the side movie of After the Tree Rape from Evil Dead. I don't really know what exactly. I think it was shot well. Acting, performances were great, and I like some of the mystery to it.
Yeah, and I want to point out we're going to be very careful with the mystery and the because really my advice, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you decide you want to see this after our review, don't read too much about it. Just pick it up. But go ahead, Todd.
So it's weird. It's one I feel like I need to watch again because even watching it, and I feel like I missed something. I don't know if it's one I'll notice something on my second go around. I still liked it. It's just and I should mention also shot in North Carolina. I felt like I was missing something, and I did enjoy it. But I don't know. There's still some. I can't put my finger on exactly what it was, because I don't feel like I wasted my time and it was horrible. I didn't like it as much as a lot of people did. And, I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm sure something will jump out at me too.
I'm surprised you actually kind of called it because I actually like this one quite a bit. It's definitely, and again, I'm not going to even get into what happened to her and exactly what kind of movie this is, because I don't think that's necessarily even all that important to this movie. I mean, it's kind of a metaphor movie, just kind of anybody that been in a couple where people kind of change and you're feeling there's a lot going on in this movie, even though it may seem like it's just trying so hard not to spoil this. But, your loved one changes on you, becomes something a little more sinister. You don't recognize them anymore. Again, not giving away the threat, which again isn't even really that important. I almost feel like I could, but it's the acting is top notch. I mean, they pretty much make this just a sickeningly just in love couple that is just absolutely crazy about each other. There's a lot of lovey-dovey stuff for the first portion of the film. And I think they did a really good job of making you like these characters. Rose Leslie, I think, actually could be a pretty big star. Same with Treadaway, who plays Dr. Victor Frankenstein on Penny Dreadful. They're both pretty fantastic. It's definitely a body horror flick, and again, I'm a Cronenberg disciple. I absolutely love his work, and I think that's another reason why I love this so much. Most of the movie. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that, and I saw Cronenberg too, but it actually kind of felt more like Cabin Fever. And I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
I wouldn't compare it in tone to Cabin Fever.
No, not tone. I mean, I did. Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
Yeah, it's a character study. It's a fairly low budget flick. Like I said, not a lot of action. It's really just him dealing with his wife changing, and there's a lot of little things. It's a movie you kind of talk about later. Don't put this one on if you're multitasking on the computer or on your iPhone, because there's a lot going on that may not be particularly apparent. But I loved it. I mean, I know this is kind of a review where we're dancing around a lot of things, but I really loved it quite a bit. I think just I really felt for these characters. There's some particularly sad moments.
Maybe that's why it threw me off a bit. Too much relationship stuff, and I do call my wife B. Which is just her initial, not because her name is B-E-A in the movie, but I do call my wife B, just the letter. So
there you go. Well, hopefully she doesn't. Just don't let her go out in the woods, and you'll be okay. But yeah, and I actually also thought it was funny because I believe they were supposedly camping in Canada, weren't they? In this, didn't I see a Canadian border thing that they were going over? So I was kind of thinking Tusk. Just don't fucking go to Canada, apparently. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, this is a very character-driven piece. I'm not going to compare it to many movies so that you figure it out. Again, I don't know that it necessarily matters, but I thought it had a lot of powerful moments. I like this stuff. I like character-driven stuff. I was not bored. Some people might be bored by this film. I don't know, but for me,
I was
never.
I didn't mean to jump. I was just saying I was never bored. That I do want to point out. Okay.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, again, it just all worked for me, and there are a couple nasty bits towards the end, but it's really just, I mean, obviously there's kind of the whole, childbirth metaphor, the rape metaphor. I mean, it's a very, like I said, it's a movie to dissect, I suppose, a little bit. It's a pretty intelligent little flick, and it worked for me. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that this is going to be an all-time classic, but I thought it was pretty damn good. If you're into the body horror stuff, and I give this one 4.5. I honestly really loved it. I know but it's not gonna be one for everyone. So throwing it out there, Todd.
And this is part. I know we normally agree a lot closer, and I'm keeping it clear. I did not hate this one at all.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I liked the couple. I like this. I have a hard time saying the story. I was never bored, but I just, like I said, I feel like I was missing something. I may need to go back and rewatch this one. Because I'm just giving it a 3. I mean,
okay.
I don't think it was horrible in any stretch. It just wasn't for me. And I like, different. I like smart stuff. It's just this one didn't click for me.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it won't for everybody. I mean, it's one of those films, but I really enjoyed it very much. And I want to throw out there before we move on to our next film, this is available on Blu-ray, although nobody seems to have it on Blu-ray. You can get the DVD at Walmart, Target, Best Buy, but nobody has the Blu-ray, which what was it, Magnet that put this out?
Yeah, which is
they tend to almost always at Best Buy, if not Walmart. But for some reason they did not have the Blu-ray. But yeah, well worth it for me. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Moving on to, I don't know, I guess arguably our most anticipated movie of the evening, simply because of who stars in it, and that is The Last Showing, which of course stars Robert Englund and is written and directed by Phil Hawkins. And this movie follows movie night turns deadly when a deranged projectionist, played by Robert Englund, casts one unlucky couple in his twisted film. By luring them through a gauntlet of increasingly deadly traps, the sadistic director is determined to make a movie that is truly to die for. Okay, so one thing I want to point out about this one, just off the bat, it's not necessarily what you think, which isn't a bad thing. This isn't, there's no, I mean, it almost kind of throws out an almost Saw vibe by that description. It's certainly not that. This is, it's not Robert Englund brutally murdering people in a theater. This is a thriller, and I think a very good thriller. In fact, Robert Englund stars in this. I mean, he's basically in the whole movie. A lot of his recent films, he's had smaller roles, and sometimes they put him on the cover to sell more DVDs. But he's in this one the whole time. And as a character-driven, character study, I thought this one worked quite well. There's a lot of references to other films, because it's actually a screening of Hills Have Eyes 2, the original, which I thought they could have come up with a better movie than
Yeah, I know. Well, that was probably the cheapest one. And don't forget, Scream 3 was in the wrong aspect ratio.
Yes. There are, at the beginning, there's a lot of, moments of, Englund, kind of complaining about everything going digital now, and I
love that part.
Yeah, a lot of sentiment that I think a lot of horror and just old school film fans in general, could go over. I really hope that they do a sequel to this. I thought this was one of the best acting jobs I've seen out of Englund in ages. I think the character is fantastic. I have a lot more to say about this one, Todd, but I'll let you jump in. What did you think?
I agree. I was going to mention the sequel thing too. It definitely is not one he just showed up for a paycheck like it seems like a few of the more recent things he's done he has. I definitely, hope this is, something that becomes a franchise. It's actually kind of disappointing. The one thing I thought after I want another one was how the DVD just kind of got dumped out and, no one really knew anything about it. It wasn't marketed well at all. But since this is a British film...
it is a British film, and I was like, fuck, I didn't think this was ready to come out. It was on no lists.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they marketed it well over there, and it did well, because I do know there is an overseas Blu-ray at the very least, which we did not get. I was kind of bummed about that, especially after watching it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I loved it. I mean, everything about it. I mean, I thought it, because, you know, I knew we were going to have a horror film in the theater. I didn't really know what we were to expect. You know, there's been a few of those popcorn demons, just to name a couple of the more classic ones. And it was a whole new twist. I know a lot of old-timers, I don't know if I'm including myself in this, are against, I'm really not, but I know a lot of people my age horror fans, are not all about all this digital stuff in the movies, like using technology. I mean, the first thing a lot of them want to do is get technology out of it, and they'll figure, how do we get rid of the cell phones? How do we get rid of this? You know, and I used the example Scream 4 before, that took the modern technology to keep it, Wes Craven in, you know, keep it in the family. You took modern technology and used it to their advantage instead of saying, uh-oh, Woodsboro has a cell phone outage, and what do we do now? So they took modern technology, in this case, you know, the cameras that are everywhere now, and this, and turned it into something that was really creative, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'll be honest, I was slightly worried, because seeing Robert Englund, and I love Robert Englund, seeing his name and picture on the cover doesn't necessarily make me think I'm going to see anything great.
No.
Because, you know, like,
yeah,
like you mentioned, they get him in there, half the time his face is on the cover, and there, you know, he barely, he's like, whatever, I'm okay, baby, I'm gone.
Yeah.
So, and then maybe next time I'll pay more attention to when I see his name on the cover.
Oh, absolutely.
And if it's the next showing is the next one, then I'll definitely be, you know, paying attention.
Well, he has Fear Clinic coming next month, which we'll review. So, you know, hopefully he'll keep a good trend. I mean, yeah, I saw Robert Englund. I mean, I've seen him a handful of times at least, but I saw him not too long ago, and I think this was one of the movies he kind of had on a little banner that he was promoting that was coming out, and so I was, like, vaguely aware of it, but my God, it came out of nowhere. But like I said, it's fairly bloodless, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's not a gore flick. He's not bumping people off in gruesome ways. I mean, if there's one thing I should say about this one, I just hope there's a sequel. I want to see more from this character. I mean, I thought it was a great setup where, you know, you have this guy who, you know, really obviously loved his work and, you know, kind of considered himself probably an artist of sorts, you know, reduced to, you know, selling nachos at the concession stand. I mean, I just think they did a really, really good job. It's one of the better thrillers I've seen in a while, and Robert Englund is just so great to watch. I mean, I haven't even seen much coverage of this because it's kind of a big deal. Robert Englund is, you know, to a lot of people, the modern-day Vincent Price. I mean, he hasn't, you know, his body of work, particularly in lead roles, as of late, hasn't been that good. You know, I mean, 2001 Maniacs, I mean, that's probably one of the last films of his that people really, truly talked about where he had a lead role, and it's been a while. So this is kind of a return to form in a way. I really hope to see him in more leading roles like this. And like I said, it's very open in a way that this story ends, but they could definitely do another one, and I hope they do, because my God, I feel like this one left me wanting more, which is just a good thing.
Yeah. I 100% agree, because he has a little, well, not to give it, the tip for what they would do in the next one, I was already trying to think of scenarios where they could go with that.
There's kind of a lot of different, there's a lot of things. Just kind of, in my head, I was thinking, like, God, they could almost get another couple films out of this. And like I said, if anybody's disappointed in it, it's just going to be because it's not, a gore flick or, like I said, Robert Englund, killing people and cracking one-liners. But it's a damn good flick, and I hope people give it a shot. It's $10 at Walmart, $9.99. I would definitely recommend picking it up. If you're a Robert Englund fan, my God, it's a must. Grab it immediately. And I think if you just enjoy, well-told thriller, I'm sure they didn't have a lot of money, but they made it work.
And I should say, if you're a hesitant Robert Englund fan on his new product, like I am now, because I always go in with, oh God, what am I going to watch today?
The Old Man of Belmont Avenue, he had a small role in that, but he was pretty funny.
That was a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Oh, no, I think it was early last year that it came out.
I have it. I don't think I've actually... I don't think I've sat down and watched it, but I do know he was in it, and I have not watched it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a case that he just, and I think I've heard this before, that he just kind of has a high price tag still, so I think a lot of people, that can afford him, it's probably just tends to be a smaller role just to get him in it, but which I think was maybe the case there, although it was a pretty fun little small part from him, kind of playing a pervert, which was fun. But yeah, this is definitely one of maybe the best movie that he's made in a very long time, and I give it 4.5 stars. I mean, it leaves you wanting more. I just hope we see this character again. It just feels like there should be a little more, a little more backstory, a little bit more. I don't know. There's a lot that they can do, and like I said, they kind of have it set up. So go out, support it. It's a great movie, and maybe we will get a sequel. So, Todd, what do you say?
I am exactly dead on this 4.5. I can't. I don't want to say I can't wait for another one. I hope for another one, and if there is one, I will be there first in line to see it. Or I don't know if I can even say that now. How would we do this now? Pre-order immediately? Is that the proper verbiage I should be using?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can go buy it right now. Watch it. It's awesome.
Well, I meant a follow-up.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
I don't know. This is almost one I feel like I would contribute to an Indiegogo, and I can't lie. I really haven't contributed to a whole lot of Indiegogo stuff, but this is kind of one I would really just like to see it. I'd probably throw them some money.
It's funny because I haven't officially contributed yet. The first one I did contribute to, but they didn't reach their goal, so it got canceled or whatever. I can't remember what the film was. But no, it wasn't. See, I didn't do that one.
Okay.
It was for purely selfish reasons. It was because the reward was the first Vinegar Syndrome disc, the one that got pulled because of the rights issues, which I did end up getting.
Right?
Yes,
I lucked out
which I did
that one.
Well, I know why you got that one, but I ended up getting it through them also when I did a large order. They hooked me up, so thank you. But yeah, because it didn't actually go through, so I thought it was funny because I'm going to be doing this one because it's Vinegar Syndrome. I get those discs I want, so that's smart. I mean, those incentives do work because I mean, if it was just to help other streaming, yeah, I might donate, $10 or something. But you give me the promise of a limited disc, I'm all over it. And honestly, I'd probably I'd go up a tier. I think 65 is the minimum, but for 100 you get like 4 DVDs or Blu-rays of your choice. But I already have everything. It's now in the future, but I'm like, yeah, I'm good with what I'm up to date. I'm good. So.
But yeah, get Last Showing 2 up there, filmmakers, if you're listening, and you'll get Todd and my money. It will be yours. So yes, that's Last Showing. I think we would both probably agree the best film of the night. I think I can feel comfortable. Well, best in terms of our
new films.
The next one holds a special place in both our hearts, I suspect. But still, this was definitely, I think, the best made movie. And yeah, our next one probably going to kind of be more of a disc review, simply because I've talked about it before. I love it. Love that tend to get a little. Mm-hmm.
This is our first time discussing it on this show.
Yeah.
But I should just say now, because we are running short on time, we are going to try to move this one along, though. But if we do go into the archive, because we only got about 5 minutes left, I'm just giving you guys a heads up. All right. That was it. Dan, go for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this film is Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and in case you don't realize, this is the special Fred Olen Ray signed edition. You can get it on Amazon right now for $19.99. It is hand signed by Fred Olen Ray. How many copies, Todd? 1,000? Is it 1,000?
Yeah, 1,000. Yes, it is.
Okay, so yeah, and very popular 80s B movie. So I don't know if it's going to sell out immediately. I doubt it'll be immediately, but nonetheless, you probably want to get your copy if you're a fan of this one.
That first, was it 300, or was it, I can't remember. Yeah, the first 300 went pretty damn quick, so.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say over half are probably gone by now at least. So,
yeah,
if you want it, and I'm not one, well, I guess we got to do the storyline, but some people may not have seen it. But Retro Media presents a special high-definition Blu-ray edition from a 2K scan of the original 35mm camera negatives. Join Detective Jack Chandler as he tracks a runaway teen, played by horror queen Linnea Quigley, into the dark recesses of LA's most stringent religious cult. Beware the chainsaw-worshipping madman played by Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Gunnar Hansen. And above all else, watch out for the saw-wielding vixen performing the virgin dance of the double chainsaws. So, yeah, I love this movie. I grew up, I fucking love this. I watched this so many times. Probably wore out the pause feature for a lot of Michelle Bauer's stuff.
Amongst wearing out other things.
Exactly. My pals could stand up by themselves back then. But yeah, this was revisiting it. Obviously this is a comedic exploitation film, but it's very well written. It's a very clever, funny film that is very well made, genuinely well made, well written in particular. And it's easy for me to see why this lives on, nearly 30 years later. And they talk about it in the special features. This was shot in 5 days in between Fred Olen Ray working on something called, I can't remember the film name, Moon Scorpio or something like that. And for basically no effects budget, props bought at toy stores. It was shot on the set that they shot Vamp on. They go over a lot of these stories. It works really, really well. Jay Richardson delivers a fantastic performance in this. And if you've watched a lot of TNA Cinemax stuff over the last couple decades, you'll recognize him. I don't know why he didn't do more, standard. He kind of did, but he's somebody who actually felt like he could be bigger than he really was, although he's memorable.
I have to point this out, and I'm pretty sure it's just local advertising. I don't know if it airs elsewhere.
No, it's not. But I know what you're going to say.
Okay. You'll see him on, is it a lawyer?
Yeah, it's like a personal injury thing, and I'm thinking, I got a fucking hits and ass star.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, he plays one of the guys who you ever see at the bottom of the screen, not an actual lawyer. That's him. It's every time it pops on, it makes me laugh. I'm just like,
I've been hearing that for a while. Yeah, God, wow, that's. He might have a couple out there. I mean, he's a great actor. Like I said, he's still, over the last few decades. I mean, he still works a lot with Fred Olen Ray. Turns up in a lot of the softcore flicks that he's done, and some other ones too. It's not just the softcore stuff, but he's fantastic here. There's so many funny lines, and just like I said, I mean, they really lucked out with it. I mean, 5 days, kind of shooting in between other stuff that has gone long forgotten, and this lives on. I love it. I mean, I really dread actually giving this a rating because what am I going to say? I fucking love this movie. But I will, on the extras front, did you get to watch the Movie Time Hollywood premiere?
I did, which I thought was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, Greg Kinnear, of course, a pretty big star now, and I think Oscar nominee, if not winner, was covering the premiere of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and that had to be one of my favorite special features of the year. But God, there's so much stuff I can geek out about. But Todd,
I gotta say, that's gonna be the worst part. He couldn't even get on Entertainment Tonight. He had to be on Movie Time.
Yeah.
No one even remember. He was on Movie Time reporting for Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. That time he was.
Yeah, I'm sure he bought a copy of this immediately to relive those days.
Oh, geez, I think we should all get an extra copy and fill his mailbox.
Exactly. Maybe he'll send back an As Good as It Gets 8x10 or something.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's a hard one to rate feature-wise because it is, it is. Yeah, it's a classic, and it is for its genre of film. So I'll just throw out the transfer. I thought looked really solid for, a low-budget film, and, they actually said it wasn't shot on short ends. It was shot on a day. It's similar to short ends. It was a cheaper alternative, but not as cheap as short ends, so they didn't really. I wish I would have recalled what they called that. And apparently the first reel was missing when they sent it to. They said HBO or Showtime. They never got the reel back. So the actual first reel comes from not even an IP, from the print of the film. And that's why, if you notice in the first few minutes, Dan, there's a random scratch on the right, pretty decent one. But other than that scratch, and even the first 7 minutes where it was the release print reel, it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks really good. Excuse me. And I thought, honestly, I thought the last DVD was the best it was going to look, and I thought this one did much better. The one thing I do want to point out, because some people are going to be kind of annoyed, it does have lossy sound. It's only Dolby Digital. It's not, lossless, LCPM or DTS HD or anything like that. But for this kind of film, I really don't think it matters. Extra-wise, we got a new audio commentary with Fred Olen Ray, moderated by David Duchovny, which I did listen to, and I thought was good. The one complaint I thought, the only feature lost, was from the last DVD. There was a different commentary on it, and that was kind of a bummer. Or as far as I know, it was a different one, because this one's listed as new, and I don't remember Duchovny being on the other one. Yeah, and you mentioned what was it called? The Movie Time featurette. It also features the original trailer ported over from. Well, these are the extras that were ported over. It has the making of video. Wait, the making of wouldn't that have been the other one? Well, we have the Night Elf Theater that's been on every release, every DVD release since this thing started, but the best feature is the Remembering Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers 27 years later, which I really liked. There was some information that was done in the old making of that was repeated. But other than that, I really liked the new piece. It ran a nice 25 minutes. The only disappointing thing was the fact that there was no Leanna. I don't know. I mean, this is, probably I can't even say, because I know there is another version coming out from 88 Films, and they promised a Leanna Quigley version interview or something on it. I don't know. I really love this edition. It's great. It's cool that it's signed and limited. It's a good film. I don't know. What am I missing, Dan? What do you want to add? I'm trying to think of anything.
If you're a B-movie fan, it's essential. I did forget that 88 Films is putting it out, but like I said, if you want the signed, and I should say, I've never been a big fan of people signing DVDs. I'm an autograph collector. I mean, I have, probably in the thousands now, autographed items, photos, posters, whatever. But I never signed DVDs. But this is very neat. It doesn't take away from anything on the back cover, and it looks good. And yeah, you probably will get a shot at picking this up through 88 if you missed this, but it's safe to say probably at least half is gone on this one.
I know that Fred said that he had shipped the last 700 to Amazon for fulfillment, and I haven't noticed if they've popped up yet. He said probably by or before Friday, and I actually just checked so we could kind of say. They still hadn't popped up, but, right now you are obviously listening to us in the archive. So they may, if you're listening to us, tomorrow, they might, or which would be today, they might be up now. So it is. But I know those first, 300 went pretty quick. So
yeah,
maybe it's a good time too. I mean, depending on what content-wise, it's going to take me a lot to get the 88 film ones because I'm pretty damn happy with this one.
I've heard Linnea talk about it before. I mean, this is pretty definitive. I mean, if this is the most and the best that we get out of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, I'm very content. But now here's the question, Todd. What do we rate the movie?
Just go ahead. You can give it a 10. First ever.
There we go. First ever 10. Obviously, it's Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but it is a B movie that holds a special place in my heart from the 80s. And for some inexplicable reason, if you've watched a lot of films like Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bowl-orama or Nightmare Sisters or Creepazoids or, I could keep going, and you haven't seen this, well, you really want to see it. I mean, it kind of, it stands, I think, above a lot of it. And again, it's very, very well written.
And we haven't said enough. It's Gunnar Hansen in another Chainsaw movie. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. Gunnar Hansen, and he didn't really do a whole lot of note after, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So particularly around this period. So this was definitely great to see him back.
I agree. So 10 chainsaws for Texas for Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Yeah, because we don't. This one we're going to give that honorary rating. So Todd, anything else to add about this one that we didn't tackle?
No. I guess we can do our plugs. Next, don't forget to listen to on Tuesdays the calling hours.
Absolutely. Yeah, calling hours every Tuesday. So, Horror Society, great shows. Definitely check them all out. We cover a lot of ground at Horror Society. I know Mike, his shows are fantastic. I'm not sure what he has on tap for next Tuesday, but
I
definitely check it out.
But do we want to announce our lineup since we already do know from next week's news and review shows what we're going to
Yeah,
be?
I was going to say, we already have our show pretty much completely set for next week. So, yeah, have at it, Todd.
Okay, well, first up we got, I know this is what everyone's been waiting for, we got No Malone.
With Vern Troyer.
There you go. Again, the one everyone's been waiting for. Next up with Tiffany Shepis, we have Attack of the Morningside Monster. And followed by, we don't have an order yet, Snoochie Boochies, Jason Mewes in Devil's Tower. The brand new Asylum film that seems a little bit late, Hansel vs. Gretel. Antidote, I don't have a cast on that one. And the found footage film that seems like it was made for Dan, and that's Lucky Bastard.
Yes, Lucky Bastard is on the way to me, and I can't wait to watch that one. First NC-17 rating in a while, which is interesting that they would even go that route. But, yeah, it's an interesting mix of films next week. I'm really looking forward to No Malone because we got fucked so hard on the last Leprechaun movie that I feel this is the universe hopefully making up for that.
That's until we get Vampiricon with Warwick Davis.
Yes. Yeah, but, at least this will, I really felt like calling a hotline after I watched the last Leprechaun movie. I was so mortified. Be
glad I was mesmerized by the star power that is Hornswoggle and who else was there? Because I remember the LA premiere, or the premiere with them, and The Miz was there, and the blonde chick, the one on Total Divas. Whatever the hell her name is. Thank you, Summer Rae. Yeah, I know. She looks like the Wicked Witch. Okay, so it's not just me. All right. But then again, I also think the Bellas are average. The only reason people think they're hot is because they're twins. So if it was just one of them, people would be like, average.
Three's not too bad, but
yeah. Well, one got enhanced, so that doesn't count. Or was it Nikki? I can't tell them. Yeah, okay. Well, too bad talent isn't sexually transmitted. Still my favorite line.
That was
that's still that's probably my line of the year last year. Yeah, I guess that's what we got for our show. Should be interesting. It's a lot. I don't know. This week we count a lot more polished stuff. I think we'll get a little bit more fun in our reviews next week. We have a lot of well-made, well-done stuff. Next week can be, go either way. Especially, we got the Asylum in there this next week. We got some Lionsgate DTV. Should be fun. But no big name titles unless we have to go to our alternate, but that one's been reviewed to death at this point.
Yeah, we have a few alternates, so it might change a little, but probably not. But, yeah, all that I can say is this is the most anticipated Vern Troyer flick since, we didn't get it, the sex tape. We never got it, Todd. That would qualify as a horror film, though, I will say that. The 5-second clip, and it'll never leave my mind, is Vern Troyer tongue wrestling that hot tape.
If I survived one night in China.
Yes.
I don't know if it was worse, seeing China or X-Pax X-Sac.
Well, I will say to people, anybody that takes shots at China, remember, her Playboy was the #1 seller at that time. I don't know if it still is. It might be. And a lot of people bought those tapes. So you know who you are if you rubbed one out to China.
I was never all about China. I do have my autographed Playboy when she was over here at Tower Records.
Well, there you go. So you've seen her naked. I've seen her naked. We can both admit to it. But anyways, I guess we can say see you guys next week. And yeah.
Yeah, I did something a little different for our outro, kind of a play on our musical break. So we're going to leave you with the very short version, the original version of David Hess's "Wait for the Rain." So good night, and see you next week.
Night, guys.
With AT&T, take your U.S. plan to Mexico at no extra charge. When you choose an eligible plan, place calls, send text, and enjoy your plan data in Mexico like in the U.S. It's that easy. AT&T, mobilizing your world. Subject to plan rates, terms, international fees, overage charges, or data speeds. Restrictions apply. See store for plan details.